Hi, welcome. This is my family life educator project, and I am doing mine on the effect of social media on physical, cognitive, and psychosocial development. My primary age group is adolescents ages 13 to 18. A little bit of background that I have is that now, since teens have been introduced to social media at a very young age, it's there from the moment they wake up. When you're checking your phone, that's usually, I notice, the first thing that I do before I do anything else is I'm checking up on my Instagram, my Snapchat, and it is something that I catch myself doing, which I'm sure you do too, at the end of the day. And it can be easy to go on it for hours. I notice, especially like Instagram and TikTok. And the moment when your phone goes off, it's very tempting to check to see messages and posts. And I feel like that this has a huge impact on adolescent development. And it's very normal for teenagers to have views, questions, and emotional responses to what they see on social media. And this can affect how well they perform in certain areas at school or at home. There are definitely many positive and negative sides to social media. And I definitely think this plays a huge part in physical, cognitive, and psychosocial development more than we realize. And I think that it's very important to know how social media affects things like sleep, attention, and your overall mental health. So I want to talk about a little bit of the risk factors that adolescents go through when they're transitioning and the physical milestones that they experience. It can be very stressful. And I want to talk a little bit how this affects physical development, especially because, like I said before, how it's very tempting to check before bedtime. And this can definitely cause a disruption in sleep. I notice that happens to me too, where I gotta let myself put the phone down because I feel like once I'm looking on it, it's very hard to stop. And I notice, for teenagers, back in high school, this can really negatively affect how you are the next day if you don't have enough sleep. And something that I want to talk about a little bit is the blue light, access to the blue light. If you're a little unfamiliar with that, the blue light is what people see when they first wake up in the morning when the sun is out. And teenagers who spend too much time on social media, it can disrupt their sleep, causing them to have poor motor skills throughout the day. And I feel like a cause for being on your phone too much and not getting enough sleep, this can cause health problems, and I think it's important to talk about it because social media is the most well-known communication tool for adolescents, and it's really important for people like parents and to educate their teenagers to understand the importance of social media use and physical development. I want to talk a little bit about cognitive development. So for adolescents, each of them, they think in complex ways at their own rate. People are different. Not everyone thinks the same thing at the same time. And over time, you notice they develop their own view of the world and apply many facts. And this can have an impact on their decision making. And I definitely feel my question on how it affects cognitive development, it definitely has an impact because when children become adolescents, they start to have better regulation And this gives them the ability to develop their own views and questions with what they see on social media. Social media can interfere with studying time because students getting distracted by their phone going off while they're studying, and this can cause to have their attention go somewhere else because they're mainly focused on that and they're studying less. And this part is very important. Something that you really want to do, especially for parents, is looking out for adolescents. Couple of things that I think would be very helpful to talk about with adolescents is tracking their sleep and seeing how less social media before bed would be really helpful. I also think another great idea is for parents to encourage their teens to find a community and people that are into physical activities. And doing exercising isn't always fun, but I definitely think a fun sport or games could be fun and can encourage them. And also, I think parents letting their adolescents know that it really helps whenever they are studying or trying to sleep, when you turn off your notifications, it is a huge help. And just doing little things like that, I think, can lead to very, very successful outcomes. Also, another thing I notice is that there are time limits. Encouraging time limits for apps such as, maybe half hour a day total, especially during the school week, would be a huge, huge encouragement. Especially because once the time runs out, the app won't open back up unless you do it yourself. But, it's definitely good to try your best to just keep that off. And parents who explain this to their children, I think that this would really help them spend less time on social media at night. Positive outcomes with resources. I definitely believe that adolescents need helpful resources on social media to help them put their attention on what will help them succeed. Having homework resources and discussions on social media will make them more interested and improve their memory for tests, kind of going back to the cognitive development. Encouraging adolescents to share their ideas and questions on what they see online can help their development. Talking about important events on social media can help parents and children have an understanding with each other. Parents showing support to their teenagers who may be on social media too much can cause less conflict. It can help them understand that there is an issue and they can work it out together. This gives adolescents a chance to share their views and also ask questions, kind of going back to the cognitive development again. And I overall believe that this can lead to great discussions. Now, the last but not least, we have the psychosocial development. There are a lot of ways that social media plays a role in mental health. There are positive and negative impacts on teenagers' mental health while using social media. It can be easy for adolescents to compare themselves to other people that they see online. This was a huge one. I think it can be easy to compare yourself to other people that you see online. I am guilty of it, and when I have a teenager one day, I definitely want to talk about that with them because it can be very easy, but you should know that not everything on social media is true, and we mostly post our highlights. I think that's very important to address. Now, the reason the research this affects the psychosocial domain is because adolescents who feel the need to always check to see what people are doing can cause feelings of anxiety and distress. They could feel like they're missing out. And I believe that there are a lot of unrealistic expectations when teenagers look at things that are appearance related, and social media can have a negative effect on body image because people will often search for what they feel is the ideal body type. In most images, people are posting pictures of how happy they appear to be, kind of going back to talking about the highlight reel. Comparing yourself to unrealistic body expectations can have a negative effect on how teens feel about their bodies, and teens are more likely to have low self-esteem by seeing pictures that seem greater than they really are. This can be known as, I did a little research, it's called image manipulation, and that's something that I myself even try to look out for when I'm on social media. Sometimes when adolescents feel alone, they will believe that other people have it better than them, but the truth is that we don't really know what someone else is dealing with, and just because someone is posting that they are really happy if they, are on a vacation and they're on the beach, they could be struggling with anxiety and depression, but that's not ultimately what we see. Healthy outcomes. I do believe that adolescents can promote healthy outcomes by kind of going back to talking about important influence with parents, talking to them about how social media is not real, not always real, it's a highlight reel. And having these talks can help teenagers use social media in a positive way, such as, and this is what I like to do and what I want to inspire teenagers to do as well, which is following inspirational accounts and not things that may cause them to be sad or anxious, and also using it as a resource for people who have anxiety to engage with other people and realizing that you are not alone. I have found accounts on Instagram that promote body positivity, and also accounts that try to promote having a better and healthier mindset. Connecting with friends and finding people online with similar interests can reduce feelings of loneliness, just as long as, of course, you are doing it in a safe way. There are also mental health groups on Facebook, and each of these ideas will help adolescents understand why too much social media could be affecting their mental health. Kind of bringing all the domains together, the physical, cognitive, and psychosocial. They are dependent on one another because when adolescents go through physical changes, they may go through an identity crisis. They will make goals and try to find things they like to make their thing. It's important to let adolescents have time to discover what roles work for them during physical changes, such as differences in their height, weight, and muscle. Adolescents will want to fit in with their peers, as we have gone over, and this is very dependent on cognitive development because peers have a big impact on adolescent decision-making. Every adolescent thinks in more complex ways at their own rate, kind of what I talked about before in a previous slide, and over time they develop their own view of the world and may apply facts. I wanted to bring that up again in this slide. I think that's very important. And when they develop their own view of the world, they may consider perspectives from other people, and going back to what I said before, this will help them have good interactions and discussions. Now, there are many factors under each domain that can have effect on overall development. kind of talking about, again, the negative side effects of social media, how too much time on social media can cause a lack of motivation and academic achievement because their attention is somewhere else. And then also going back to talking about the blue light, the bright screen is causing them to be more tired, and seeing too many pictures can cause feelings of anxiety and sadness, especially if you are comparing yourself to other people. And this can also interfere with homework, exercise, sleep, and other activities. Very important, having adolescents, parents encouraging their adolescents to take frequent breaks from social media. This will help them feel more motivated when they realize they are not missing much. Very important. I promise you are not missing much, and everything will still be there when you get back to it. And I believe that this will help overall development. Some of the best time to take breaks is dinner time, not checking your phone while you're eating, studying, self-care time, and before bed. Talking to mental health professionals will help teenagers with their development. It is crucial if it affects their day-to-day life. It may be important if it starts to interfere with relationships, especially relationships with your parents and your peers and your siblings, as well as school, sleep, and work. It's important for parents and adolescents to know the impact social media can have on an adolescent's overall development. And I have my conclusion here. To sum it all up, there are several ways that social media can affect adolescent development in both healthy and unhealthy ways. The milestones for adolescents can be impacted by what they see on social media. Adolescents have been using it at a much younger age, including myself, than my parents, because social media, for me, definitely became big. I remember Instagram became the big thing when I was just 12 years old, and something that my parents did not experience when they were that age. It is important for parents and teenagers to know the impact social media can have on, I know we talked about it quite a bit, but just overall, sleeping at night, views on current events, and their self-esteem. Parents and adolescents can work on healthy development by sleeping without the phone in the room, which I know it can be kind of hard because I think we mostly use our phones for our alarms, but if that doesn't work, kind of what I talked about before, by using the time limit on the apps. And also, definitely share your viewpoints on it. It's good to hear from different perspectives and following positive accounts that make you feel good. Adolescents should know there are people around them who support their decision making, and they will use social media in a positive way. And that's when we really, really need parents in the picture. And here I have each of my references. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you got some great information out of this. Thank you so much.